got a great dinner party story, a great anecdote. What are your best stories? What's the one where people always say, "Oh, go on, tell that one"? You may have already, as I say, may have already said, but is there the one story that you think's your killer classic anecdote?
Good call, Mr. Garvin. A good call. Ali, have you got one?
No, not yet.
Thank you.
Give me time to think.
Brian, have you got anything that doesn't involve?
Oh, well, let me think. Yes, Meat Loaf back in Australia.
Yes.
And I'd off dairy, off alcohol. Me and the other keyboard player said, we're going to be straight as dies. We're going to come back fit as a fiddle. We were running all the time. After 2 weeks, needless to say, I was fed up, to say the least of this. Very boring, but good for us. I'm in the gym and I just kind of clicked with my neck at some point or other. And the next thing I know is I woke up the following morning and I couldn't move my neck. So I had an Australian masseuse go up my neck for 2 hours. I'd severed a nerve. So you can imagine the pain I was going through. I had to put my hand up in the air. That was the only place that my arm could be without causing me pain. So I said, well, how the hell am I going to gig tonight? So I knocked on Meat's door and come in. Well, he says, I'm not a teacher, Brian. You can put your hand down now, lad. And I said, no, I can't put it down. He says, what's up? I said, well, you know, I was in with Paul, the other keyboard player at the gym, and it looks like I've really severed a nerve or something apparently here. He said, is there anything wrong with your right hand? I said, no. He said, see you tonight. So I did the entire gig with my hand up in the air. The roof was low, and on Bat Out of Hell, I have a little bit of a solo. And as the solo's coming up, they let off the Roman candles. And usually the roof's high, but it was so low that phosphorus was bouncing off the roof and still alight. And I'm trying to do my solo, and I can smell something burning. It was my hand. So I still would not stop because it was my only solo. So I'm blowing it up and I've got my hand up in the air. When I got to the end of the show, he's introducing everybody and he introduces me. The crowd go bananas because they thought, Jesus, look, this guy's got style here, you know. I thought, well, if that's all I have to do, because, of course, Tony Kay used to do that when he was playing the organ. I love Tony. He's one of my best mates. But that was it. I mean, that was at one of those gigs from hell. He came in one day with his wife and 2 girls, and we were jamming. And we were supposed to only play Meat Loaf music. Well, we weren't. We were just having a good time, loosening up. I'm on the top of this motorbike, and I see Meat 20 minutes early. He never comes before 4:30. It was 4:10. I didn't know my mic was on. And he comes walking into the venue with his wife and 2 daughters. I say, hey guys, hey up, here comes Meat Potato and 2 veg. And it was on the frigging PA system. Chatton, I'll fucking kill you, boy. And he comes running from one side of the hall to the. I jumped off the motorbike, which was about 8-10 foot high, and just ran for it. Because he'd sit on you, sweating, naked sometimes in the dressing room. He was ruthless, but he was one of these guys who he was sensational. He'd go on stage in front of the fire curtain at 8:25, and he's supposed to start at 8:30. All the lights are on, and he'd parade at the front, and the crowd would go, hey, there's Meat. And he's looking and looking, and he gets to the mic in the middle, and he points at the biggest Hell's Angel. They were our security. They loved Meat Loaf. He says, you? He says, I'm going to kick your fucking ass, man. Get over here to the biggest Hell's Angel. Of course, the crowd would go bananas. He was a sensationalist, had the audience in the palm of his hand at all times. Brilliant showman.
Bloody hell, Brian. Can we just enough plugs for the electricity board? Your book. Tell us what it's called and what's it about.
Rolling with Rock Royalty, it's called, and I just tried to put a different turn on it from coming up from the north, you know, where, for instance, my dad, he showed me what is it called now? Like a little turtle, a tortoise. You don't say tortoise in America, it's a tortoise. Mm-hmm. Anyway, yeah, give me a tortoise. I said, what are we going to do? It says, you know, how long will it last and all that lot? And my dad said, well, what do you mean? I said, well, what happens if it dies? He said, well, I'll put it in a little box and you can invite all your friends around and, you know, you'll celebrate its life, have ice cream and cake and so on, and we'll bury it in the garden. So I said to my dad, can we kill it now? Yeah. So anyway, being brought up in Bolton, I put all those stories together. Living with Jon Anderson, of course. I've just finished an album with him. I wrote seven of the tracks on 1,000 Hands, which is a bloody good album. Chick Corea is playing my piano parts, which
wow.
We've got a load of guests and Ian Anderson, Steve Howe, a lot of the Yes guys. But Chick Corea playing my piano parts, I couldn't believe it. That was again
so much better than you. So can I just?
I know where you live. I know where you live. Stop it.
On the accent thing, Ali, if I may say, you're a Scouser, but you've kept your accent. You're rolling your R's a bit. Have you found it hard? I've been in the States for a while with my Cockney. Have you found it hard with the accent and stuff, or easy?
Well, at first, when I first came over here and first got married, my in-laws had to have Linda, my wife, she had to interpret. So the early days were tough, but I got them used to it. But no, for some reason, I don't know why, because everybody else I know that's lived in the States for this long, you know, has developed an American accent. Well, like you say, when I speak to people now, it's like, oh, you've still got your accent. It's like, yeah, I'm damn proud of it. So, yeah. You know, it's just, I don't know, some people take to it, some don't.
Weird, and Nigel, I've been the sort of Yankee in King Arthur's Court myself. I've been over there I was in LA for about 8 or 9 years. Do you still feel English, or what do you feel like? Like mid-Atlantic or what?
My approach has always been, as far as accents go, it's okay to be, you know, have your English, British accent, whatever you want to call it. And it's okay to have an American one, but be mid-Atlantic, I've always disliked. So I've tried, I mean, unfortunately, you can't go into a restaurant, assuming that there is not a pandemic, and ask for a BLT without the tomato. They don't know what you're talking about. So when I first came here, the editor that I worked with a lot, every day, or certainly every time he went to have fish and chips, would tell me how to pronounce tartar sauce. You've got to say tartar sauce, because people would not understand. You know, can I have some tartar sauce, please? So, and I've always found it very difficult because in my previous lives, I've done so much, and I've always been in somebody else's world. So, you know, I used to be a cab driver. I worked on a building site. I worked in a German metalwork factory. So I've always had to try and learn. I mean, when you're a cab driver, you can't do your BBC accent with the guys on the rank. They'll tell you to fuck off pretty damn fast. So I always used to try and adapt, but I've been here 36 years now, so I've tried not to adapt, and which my wife finds very frustrating because she's from Texas. So So I'm constantly saying, my English newspaper today says that blah, blah, blah. And she's like, she could give a fuck. So